Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 69 of the Almost Daily Show. If you notice, your host Chandler is standing here. Your host Dave just crept into the room like a creepy weirdo, and he's gone. Hey, do the elevator noise. Ding!
Woo!
That's like doing the stairs, like.
That's right. That's right. Well, Chan, I'll see you later.
Oh, goodbye. Hey, where'd you go?
Oh, we have to grow up soon and do a show.
You know what? I was thinking about that. People who say act your age, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Age? What is my age? And they're like, well, I don't know. You're 30 years old. Well, what does that mean? Is there a specific construct tied to how old I am? And they're like,
I can't believe you're just a baby.
Yeah, and they're just like, you're out of control. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've learned that. I think it's why I do this and own a gym, right, and work from myself and with you, because I can behave any way I want and I can have fun and I don't have to grow up. Because when I grow up, I'm mean. I don't like when I'm an adult.
Yeah, growing up sucks. And then you look at the way we organized Out of the Cave Media, our personalities and the way we do things and the culture is all displayed in the brand. If you watch the show, if you read the Out of Control newsletter, everything. If you have interactions with us, if you're not interested in having a little fun, it's probably not going to be a good fit for you.
That's right. You can be serious and get down to work and have a lot of fun while you do it. And if you're not doing that right now, grab a mirror, check it out, make a change.
Yeah,
right? That's that simple.
It's easy day. Just know that it's okay to have fun, reduces stress, makes life a little more livable, and puts you in a good place to make the proper decisions.
That's right. Like where to go for ice cream.
Yeah. Ooh, that's tough. It's like, do you do ice cream or do you do froyo? You got to decide. And
I don't even know what froyo is.
I'm all about the full blown ice cream, especially like some gelato.
All day long.
Mm-hmm. It's so good.
So we just crushed it. 2 minutes and 50 seconds of nonsense. You want to get to the real deal now?
Yep. We won't even show them our new intro yet. So today we have a show we wanted to talk about. We talk with a lot of people and we look at a lot of different methods of entry and ways people onboard new clients, especially in the gym industry. And one thing we've noticed is not understanding the market fit and the market dynamic behind what you're doing, trying to use like a blanket choice or a blanket system for everything across every market. And the problem is, unless you've mapped out every market in every state and every single community, you don't necessarily understand what the market's going to bear until you've put yourself in that market and you've done a thorough analysis in that specific environment.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah, I said market and I said environment and I said analysis.
So yeah, and we have the opportunity to work with lots of the different business organizations out there in the business consulting organizations, and that's the main theme that we're seeing is just I think maybe the better ones or just the gyms and the businesses that are more successful are building their pricing structure and entry points and how they run their model. Based on their area, and what's going on around them and their resources, which I think is an enormous part of it, skill set and resources. And if you don't have them, there's certain things that you're not going to be able to do. And, we just had a call with someone, and they're trying to run a business and do certain things, and they actually don't have any of the resources in place to even make it work, which is a problem.
I think that's tough because you have to look into what does my market look like? What is my intended audience? How big can I scale this? And do I have the staffing available to make it work? And I think it comes down to once you understand that, if you decide that you're going to be only high end, then you better put a lot of money into developing your brand and making sure people understand that that's who you are and that your market can bear that. But what we find most of the time, especially in those boutique gym industries, they want to kind of get the center of the road people, the people who aren't like super loaded and the people who aren't so poor that they can't afford a $10 a month membership. They want that center zone where people can pay anywhere from $100 to $200 a month for something. And what you have to do if you want that center line and you want that kind of people is you have to organize your offerings in a way to where you can get you have something for people who will automatically jump on it. You have something for people who do want the high end expectation. And then you have something in the middle where you essentially want to drive everybody to. Because what happens is with these options of threes, when you're setting up your onboarding process, is people will generally gravitate towards the middle because they don't want to be cheap and they don't want to be expensive. So they're super comfortable just right in the center. And that's kind of where you want to set your sweet spot up in your packages when you set up your onboarding.
I don't want to be cheap either, Chan.
Me either. That's why I'd pick the middle option.
I'm in on the middle, whatever option that is.
I don't care what it is. Just give it to me. I don't want to be cheap and I don't want to be super expensive. So put me in the middle.
Right. And I think something else is, you need to sit down and figure out, like what is your actual service, and not like, the concept, but the actual, like, this is exactly what people get for their money. And, you come up with like your core values of how you're going to deliver that product to them, what's important to you, what does the client need. You go through this whole exercise and you come up with, this is what we're trying to accomplish with the program. And this is what I can sell to people. Then it's a matter of how do we now deliver that? And it could be, 50 personal training sessions to start, and it could be get thrown right in, so there's the spectrum of what can happen. But ultimately there's going to be some give and take around, ideal situation, around, actual resources. It's just me and another part-time coach, and I need to double revenue. That's actually never going to happen unless you need to be able to bring certain amount of money in a month. So we need to build a system around what you currently have for a team and your expertise. You can't be struggling trying to learn a bunch of stuff and deliver excellence and bring people in. So it's very important to understand what you're trying to deliver for a product, where you're currently at, and actually craft a game plan that will probably only resemble you and your business, not what somebody else is doing.
Yeah, and I think the way you start building out these packages is you identify exactly what you have available and exactly what you're offering people. You write those out as line items, and then you put those line items into level 1, level 2, or level 3. Level 2 is the one you kind of want to stack, so people will generally want to go there. Level 3 is your high-end service. So if you were in a gym, level 3 is your 15 to 20 personal training sessions they start with. Like, it's there, it's available. And if people want that high-end exclusive experience, they can take that. Or they can take level 2, which might be a combination of personal training and new client class experiences or something like that. If you still don't want to put someone into another class in terms of gyms, but it would be, okay, you get 6 personal training sessions and then you get 12 fundamental group sessions. And then you get the rest of the thing to go into your unlimited membership. Maybe you package that as like a 6-week option. They get a nutrition guidebook and they get all these other things. Then your level 1 is, okay, you're going to start with like 2 personal training sessions and 2 of the combined or the basic beginner group sessions. And you think of it as you use the PT sessions as technical advisement. So you're teaching them how to do everything. You're specifically planning out what they need to do. And then you reinforce that in those beginner level group sessions. And so you set it up in a system to where there's 3 levels to go through and people can pick the one that they feel more comfortable in. But regardless, they're still going to get filtered and flooded into the right environment to push them to where you want to ultimately be.
That's right. And then what do you suggest, Chan, someone that either has too many coaches or not enough?
Yeah, so that's when you have to learn, okay, what is my ultimate level of scalability in this? So if you have one coach and you're a 2-man show, you're limited. I mean, how many hours of personal training can you actually get through in a day before you burn out and don't want to do it anymore and put your head in a pillow and cry? So you need to look at that and say, okay, I have 4 hours I can devote to personal training, or I have 3 hours, and then I'm going to coach 3 hours of classes. I now have a 6-hour day that I put myself into. Can I scale personal training to another level with just by myself? The decision, okay, now that I've decided that I essentially can't scale this myself because it's too much work and I can't maximize revenue with just a PT option by myself, do I go into and start thinking about when I hire staff to bring staff on to do these things. And do I plan that out? Or am I in a position right now to where I didn't plan that out and I'm stacked? So now I have to introduce programs, maybe like small group beginner lessons to bring people into the environment and allow myself to scale out a little bit. So rather than a PT, maybe now if you really like PT, maybe you go to 3-on-1s or you go to 2-on-1s and you put yourself in a level to where you're still comfortable, they're still getting a good experience, but you can scale yourself out. Because now if you have 3 people every hour for your classes, then all of a sudden it's 3, 6, 9, 12. You can get 12 to 24 people going through in a single session versus just 4 in a day, and then you don't burn yourself out.
Yeah, and I think that stuff's powerful. That is, it's also it revolves around skill set as a trainer. If you're exceptional one-on-one with somebody, and not just running them through the stuff and saying, yeah, this is how you do these things, but you can actually coach them. It is harder to coach 2 people than 1. And I think that a mistake that happens in our industry in general, or the gym industry, is people think it's easier to coach 15 people in a class than it is to coach 1 or 2, or maybe harder, right? Like they just don't understand, like the less people that are in front of you, the more effort and the more knowledge you need, the more engagement you need. So packaging up like 2 people at a time or 3 people at a time as they come in would be a great way for someone to scale their business. That'd be my opinion on if that's all the resources you have. Because I know I'm personally against just throwing people to the wolves and just trying to grow gangbusters too fast in your business, because it's ultimately you'll fail anyways, just because the loss will be so big. But setting up that, you don't want it to be an afterthought. You don't want it to be, well, this is how we do it, and maybe we can package you together. You want to make sure that your system is built around those packages, and then you're always making them better. Always, thinking client experience. How do I improve on this product? How do I improve on the service? Getting feedback. Every time the cycle goes through, it's better and better.
Yeah, that's it. And you set yourself up, especially in gyms, with a standard curriculum. And so like what we did at our gym was like our Middle Road package we designed and organized has like your 6 personal training sessions that are an hour of technical advancement and technical improvement. And there's a whole curriculum to check off and go through. And then you organize into like 2 45-minute sessions that you put people into small group formats for together with. And that's when you do technical reinforcement. And so if you have the one-on-one technical advancement or technical movement instruction combined with reinforcement, then you can get people through in a way to where you can scale it out. You can scale it to maybe one guy's the PT coach and you got other people be in the group style stuff. And then you can scale them into the classes, and they've effectively been prepared in the right way. So that way it's scalable at the high level, and it allows a little bit of adding that community aspect and that culture of common experience at the same time.
Yeah, you know what I think is really important about what we're talking about right now is, so you just described what you do at your gym, and what our gym does is slightly different. And that doesn't make what you do right or wrong, or what I do right or wrong. And I think that that's a big thing when you're getting into people's personal business. Your staff and resources and knowledge base and even down to like your personality as a business owner and coach are a certain thing. My experience and my personality and my staff and my, everything's slightly different. So you can have a similar goal, like this is the ultimate goal that we're trying to accomplish. And, it falls into similar categories, so they can look slightly different. But at the end of the day, if we broke it down, we're accomplishing the same thing. And I think that's important to know, like everybody's business is unique. And, you don't want to just say like, well, I'm just going to take like, here's this, and I'm going to follow this, and I'll be successful too.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why I think it's important to take everything you want to offer up front and line item it out, and then take each piece of that line item and put it into segments of how you want to sell it, and then price each piece out. And then you have packages organized. So you have your levels of service or your one entry point, whatever you want it to be. It needs to fit your dynamic, your market environment. And you need to, I think one of the biggest things we fail to do as well is we say, okay, let's make someone do all of these PT sessions, but we don't understand what the market's going to bear. Can the market bear this price? And so we need to look at it and say, okay, what's the average income level of people in your community? What's the discretionary level of income that we have for them to spend on things like this? And then we take that, okay, now we have this. We know our level 3 is going to be in the upper 10% of that discretionary package. And we know level 2 is going to be in the middle road, and level 1 is going to be in like the lowest possible. And then, so then we can take everything we do, we organize it into what we can afford and bear and scale out based off of what we learned off that. And that's when you're really looking at market dynamics and understanding you specifically, because we talk about this a lot. You can't just copy someone. You can't expect copying someone in another environment is going to work for you, because if I charge the same thing they charge in New York City, in Reno, we would never get another client. Yeah, we would never get another client again, or it would be really hard to sell that package out. And so that's what you need to understand, that your market is different than someone else's market. And the only thing that matters is what the market will bear and what it will allow. And you're essentially putting yourself in that market. And if you want to create your own market, you have to have a big budget and a really strong brand in order to allow that to actually be pushed forward.
Yeah. And then, when you're talking about, say, the different tiers, this is some of the stuff we work on with the relationship modeling stuff, where each layer has there's just like different energy exchange, but you can put your products into it. So, your top tier, your 10%ers, or less, if you're in the motorcycle world, it's like 1%ers.
Yeah, the 1%ers.
So, if you want to set up your marketing, set yourself up for success, your resources and the time availability and the cost restriction in what you have. So, that you can only take on so many of those top tier clients. So that's like set. Like it's not like it's random where I'm just trying to get as many as I can. You need to then have strategies built around. If you can only get 4 new ones a month, because that's all your system can handle, it's easy to build marketing strategies and move people into that higher end funnel that way. When one opens up, you can then market to your other people saying, I have a slot that's opening up in February for anybody that wants to move up into it. And the same thing with that middle market. You can market it better when you know what is my limit. Like, I can only handle 10 a month of these people coming in. Now I can focus on getting 10 clients, not randomly blanketing an area, just looking for clients, hoping that at the end of it, when it all shakes out, there were 10.
Yeah, exactly. And that's understanding where your scalability point is, so you can still provide that highest value and level of service that you need to provide these clients. And so I can afford to bring 10 in without killing myself. All right, do 10. And then it's not being like a tricky marketer where they say, we're opening this up and we only have 13 spots available. And in reality, they're taking 900 spots. What you're doing is you're essentially setting yourself up.
We'll take as many that'll come.
Yeah. Anybody who walks in the door will take, but in reality, we're going to trick you and tell you that we're only taking for 13. So, but you're setting yourself up to say, this is what we're taking. We'll put you either on a waiting list, or you can jump on one of the other packages that have options available when we have that opened up. And you should, before you get into that position, you should set yourself up to already be ready and thinking about the staff you need to bring on board to maximize the potential to increase those levels of packages. And I think gym owners especially forget to start thinking about staffing early. Like if you're setting this up, you should plan on 3 months from now already having a pool of 4 people who you can pluck from that you've interviewed and put through your whole process. Then 9 months from now, you need to have that pool plus like 3 or 4 more that you've already interviewed. So that way you can email them and be like, hey, we actually have an opening now. You were a great candidate back then, and we want to bring you on board. And it's just like bringing clients into your pool. You're bringing potential employees into your pool. So that way you always have the capabilities of scaling up when you're ready. You're not having to get forced to be like, oh my gosh, how do I bring on staff? I don't have enough room to do this. I'm overwhelmed, and I'm in a position now to where I didn't prepare.
Yeah, and it's all part of your plan. I mean, if you're if there's 1 or 2 of you in the business, having a whole coach development program, it's not even about having the program. It's about having the time to implement it could be a problem. And so you really do need a strategy for where does your business need to get to before you can start the process, knowing that you're going to need some, people in the future, part-time and full-time, so it takes planning, and it's not, a one size fits all. It really is built. Everything always has to really happen around, your area, your knowledge base, everything, your personality.
Exactly. So for you guys listening to this, your action plan to understand this is to go out in your market, to define the top 10 maybe personal training studios, write down all their prices, the top 10 group training studios. So everything outside of just like CrossFit stuff, and write out all those prices. Get like Orange Theory Fitness, get the CrossFit gyms, get the boutique studios, get the ones that have been around for 100 years and survived, and write those out. Then write out what all the Globo gyms are doing. What are their monthly rates? What are their PT rates? How do their upsell strategies work? And take all that and compile that into average prices in the market that you understand based off of PT and group rates. And then from
chart them out.
Yeah.
Chart them out so they're all in the same category so you can look down and see what you're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. And then take that. And now once you have that, line item everything you want to offer new clients coming in the beginning. So every single thing you think you want to offer, line item it out. Then next to that, write level 1, level 2, and level 3 and figure out cool names for it or whatever. But now take things like, okay, what can I offer the lowest value of people to package it into the pricing that I figured out in my market that's going to work based on the discretionary income and average levels of income. Okay, that's level 1. That's the lowest piece that I'm going to offer within that level. Okay, now level 2, this is really where I want to add a lot of value because I want everybody to filter into this one. So now how do I organize this one with all the items? And then level 3, now how do I get something that only like maybe 3 to 10% of people will take advantage of, but it's super high margins. Okay, now I have this. Then you have yourself a 3-tier pricing strategy you can use to onboard new people. And if you're in a gym, it can be personal training, it can be the group onboarding, it can be a combination, it can be a lot of different things. You can include online education, stuff like that. But the key is that you have tiers of service established and you understand what the market's going to bear based off those tiers of service.
I think it's a great exercise. And I think, don't be afraid of change. If you find that sweet spot, if you're a business that, we see this a lot. Some businesses are flourishing. Lots of them are. And they're bringing people in like crazy. And, they found that, a good market, price points right, their product and sell and stories right. And people, are attracted to it and buy it. And then, we'll look at other businesses and, they just can't get leads. Their business keeps getting smaller and smaller, and it's not, the whole world's not dying. It's, there's something wrong with what you're doing if you're not finding that success and you're getting smaller and smaller and not closing new business or getting leads or anything like that. So, and it's not major changes. And I think that's happens a lot is, people go in and blow it all up and, they like, well, we're going to do this whole thing instead. It's usually, like basic system stuff. Like, what are you actually doing in your business? What if it's set up correctly, it might need a little tweak and boom, you're off to the races again.
Yeah, there was a good point there. If you start losing clients in droves, that's not something, especially if you switch something up or you change your model or you change your strategies and people start leaving, that's not something just to shrug off and say, oh, they were bad clients. That's something you need to grab them, immediately recognize what's happening and ask them questions. Why are you leaving? What happened? What could we have done better? Where do you see us in the future? Do you see yourself coming back here? And you need to ask why at least 3 times to pull out the real reason they're leaving. Then if you start to get a lot of clients leaving, you'll notice commonalities in the reasons. And it's important for you to be able to nip that and crush that before it becomes a really big problem, because you don't want to change your systems and think that if I build it, they will come. And then all of a sudden they all leave. And now you put yourself where your business shrank over the last year and you're in a position to where you need to figure out how to just survive. And that's a position we don't want to be in. So it's incredibly important to be fluid, understanding, and really dynamic as you change these things and start building new philosophies and strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of that is, there's like maybe my ideal, like I have my whole ideal way that I would want my ideal client to behave and all that stuff. And that doesn't mean it's the way it's going to happen. Like I also need to understand my ideal client's mentality too. I might think my ideal client, this is what they get, so this is what they want. And come to find out is my ideal client just likes being around my personality. And it's got nothing to do with what I'm doing for a service. And I'm trying to stuff it down everybody's throat because that's what my ideal client does. Like meet your clients where they're at. So you have to find, middle ground. You have to find the overall system that works, and if you find that your price point's right, you're actually delivering something, they have a pain that they're trying to fix, something that, why are they there? Their why. and you can connect to that why, you win. If they're leaving, they connected with you at one point, but you didn't deliver what they wanted. That's a problem. That's not their fault. That's your fault.
Yeah, that's it. People fundamentally do not like change. And if they don't understand change, they get angry. If they understand change, they're generally okay with it. But you need to make sure that you effectively communicate what's going on and you understand the reasons why they're doing things. And because the people you should know the most are your staff and your clients. You need to know what they're thinking, why they're thinking it, and what they ultimately want. And we saw posts like this in the CrossFit affiliate forum. Someone was talking about how nobody cared about one picture they took, but everybody cared about a funny picture. And it's fundamentally an understanding of what your clients want, what people want to see. It's what you want and what you like and what you enjoy is often different than what your market actually wants to see and what the people inside your facility actually want to experience.
That's right. Well, this has been another great episode.
Yeah, good times. If you guys have questions about pricing, onboarding stuff, or you want to work with us on the worksheet, shoot us an email or post it in the comments. And that's all she wrote.
Absolutely. So yeah, to reiterate that one, we would love to help you work through that process.
Faux show.
Faux show.
All right,
guys.
See ya.